Did you know that top tutors can earn over $100 per hour? As teachers and educators, we already have the skills to succeed in this business. Stay tuned to learn exactly how to turn your teaching experience into a profitable tutoring side hustle. Hi everyone, I'm Deanna, your side hustle CEO. And after years as an educator, I want to talk to you about how you can build a business that lets you help students while earning great money on your own terms. Today, I'm sharing everything you need to know to start your own tutoring business. From finding your first clients to figuring out what to tutor students in and finding the perfect price or setting the perfect price, we're going to talk about all of it. If you're ready to use your teaching skills to build something for yourself, then this video is for you. Are you ready to hear more? Let's get into it. Let's talk about finding your perfect tutoring niche. This is crucial because trying to teach everything to everyone is a recipe for burnout. And that's not something that any of us need any more of in our lives. As educators, we should start with what we know best. So take some time to think. If you're an elementary teacher, you might want to focus on early reading skills or math foundations. If you're a middle school teacher, your subject expertise is gold, especially in math and science or even writing. And high school teachers, you are truly perfectly positioned for subject-specific tutoring and test prep. Students want to practice for that PSAT, that SAT, that ACT. It's a competitive world that we live in. And if you can provide support with test prep, that would be fantastic. Here are some things that I do know about choosing grade levels. Elementary students often need consistent, long-term support. So that's something to think about. Middle school students, they usually need help with organization and study skills. While again, high school students, they typically need more support with subject mastery and test prep. But I do have a quick tip. Don't limit yourself to just your current grade level. Your teaching certificate probably covers a broader range than you think. So if you teach third grade, you could tutor, first graders, fifth graders. If you teach middle school, you may want to think about teaching, a couple different grade levels in middle school. And same for high school. Or really just focus on the subjects. And when you're thinking about subjects, really start with those high demand areas. Math and reading are always popular, but don't overlook taking time to tutor students in writing skills or study strategies, and again, that test preparation. And even consider some special education support. Remember, it's always better to be known as the go-to person for one thing than to be average at everything. Now let's think about a pricing strategy. That's the question that everyone asks. How much should I charge? Let's break this down. First, you want to spend some time researching your local market, especially if you plan on doing some in-person tutoring. You can check online tutoring platforms, talk to people, talk to other teachers that you work with or that you know. Look up local tutoring centers. Find out more about what they teach and what they charge. Spend some time chatting in teacher groups. Search local Facebook marketplace. That's a good starting point. All of those are good starting points. And then when you think about your pricing formula, you want to think about the base rate, how to determine the base rate. So you'll look at the local average plus your years of experience and your subject complexity, and that will help you. For most areas, I recommend starting somewhere between $40 and $75 per hour. And again, this may be different depending on what area of the country you live in, and again, what areas you're looking to tutor in. But you want to think about your expertise, the time that you consider prepping for your tutoring lessons. Again, if you're doing in-person tutoring, you want to think about the travel time, think about the materials that you need, and how much time you have to spend communicating with parents. All of this information can go into determining your base rate. Another pro tip, sometimes you might want to consider offering packages in order to retain clients. So let's say that you charge, I don't know, $60 for one session. Then you may want to, charge for a 5-session package or a 10-session package. And maybe that 10-session package costs $500 and they would only be paying $50 an hour. Also, if you're using various platforms, don't forget to consider the fees that you are charged. I recommend using Venmo Business, PayPal, Square, and all of these are really professional tools that will allow you to track your income for tax purposes. Something else to think about, virtual or in-person tutoring. It's a big decision. There are benefits and disadvantages, or I should say advantages and disadvantages to both. For virtual tutoring, some advantages to consider. There's no commute time. You can do that from home. It allows you to work with a larger client pool. They don't have to live in your direct local area. You can record sessions and then you can provide those sessions to your clients. You have a vast variety of digital resources that you can use when you tutor online. And it can also give you some flexibility with scheduling. You might be able to schedule earlier in the morning or later in the evening or weekends. But then there are some challenges with virtual tutoring. You have to make sure that you have a consistent, reliable internet. Sometimes technology has hiccups. You have to think of different ways to engage the students since you're not sitting there together. And then screen fatigue. We all already have long days. You would be adding to that time on screen. And then there are advantages when we think about in-person tutoring. In-person can allow you to have a stronger connection with the students. Younger learners, elementary learners, this is often better for them. It's easier to read body language, something that's so important when you're teaching and tutoring. And then you have an opportunity to engage your students in hands-on activities. But there are many advantages, but there are some challenges to in-person. You have to think about the travel time. How much time do you have to get to your clients? You're limited to working with clients and students only in your local area. You have to find a meeting space. Are you going to travel to their home? Are you going to go to the library? And there's a higher chance of cancellation. So my recommendation is to really start with both and see what works better for you and your students. Sometimes you might want to consider doing maybe 70% of your time with virtual tutoring and 30% of your time with in-person tutoring. You kind of get the best of both worlds and you can see what works best. Now, are you ready to find your first clients? Well, here's a step-by-step strategy that you can try to help you find those clients. Start with your network. Tell your teacher friends, say, hey, I'm tutoring. Do you know anybody that needs a tutor? You can post in local parent groups. Parents are often looking for somebody to help them with their student and their schoolwork. Again, join some neighborhood Facebook groups. And you can even spend some time connecting with local schools to see if there's any need for tutoring. But again, you often would have to check into staying away from tutoring students in your own school. I do recommend using a scheduling app, maybe something like Calendly. Uh, you can also keep track of your appointments using a Google Calendar or an Apple Calendar or calendar of your choice. Also, something to consider when you are scheduling your sessions, instead of scheduling 60-minute sessions, consider 45-minute sessions. And then if you have sessions scheduled on the hour, that allows for a 15-minute buffer in between sessions. So if you have a session that starts at 5 o'clock p.m., end it at 5:45 and start your next session at 6 o'clock. When first starting out, please consider just keeping your tutoring sessions down to individual one-to-one tutoring sessions. And possibly as you grow and become more established, you can have groups of 2 or 3 students in a group. And one benefit to that is then you can charge less per student. So if your hourly rate was $50, maybe you want to charge 60% less for each student. Keep in mind when tutoring groups, though, you do want to keep groups with similar ability together so that all students can benefit from the tutoring. When you are thinking about assessing students, you would always want to start out with an initial student evaluation in order to gather that baseline data to see what needs your students have. And continue to do consistent, regular progress checks and be ready to provide the parents with feedback. And consider goal setting meetings. These are meetings that you can meet where you can meet with the student, possibly the parents, to determine what you all want to get out of tutoring or what they need from tutoring. In order to stay organized, you can consider having something like a digital folder or a physical folder in order to keep track of session notes so that you have an anecdotal record of what you covered during your sessions. And again, you can keep track of that weekly ongoing data that you are collecting. In terms of time management, I would highly recommend that you allow at least 15 minutes of prep for each session and then continue with gathering that data for those monthly and quarterly progress reviews. And keep your materials organized on a weekly basis so that you are ready to go each time you are meeting with the students. One other tip I would love to share is that really try to create a template for everything, for your lesson plans, for your progress report, for parent communication, so that when it is time to share that information, you have saved yourself a ton of time. So there you have it. Everything that you need to start your own tutoring business. I really do hope that you found this information helpful. And remember, start small. Stay focused on quality over quantity. Let your reputation grow naturally, and your business will grow. Your teaching experience and your background experience are so valuable. Now it's time to use what you know to grow a business on your own terms. Please share any comments or questions that you have down below. And if you found this video helpful, please don't forget to like and subscribe for more side hustle content. Next week, I look forward to bringing you information about another side hustle. I look forward to seeing you then.